Most music teachers agree that playing scales regularly is important for maintaining an instinctive sense for where the notes are physically located on your instrument in each key signature. They say if you can proficiently play the scale in a particular key signature, then you can more easily play melody lines arranged in that same key signature. Essentially, by practicing scales, you teach your fingers where the various notes are located. And after all, how can you play music written on the musical staff if you have no idea where to find the equivalent notes on your instrument? Makes sense to me. However, on the piano or piano-style accordion, playing scales in all key signatures represents a considerable challenge for beginning music students. The reason is, in addition to each key signature possessing its own particular collection of sharps and flats, it also has its own particular fingering pattern as well. Although the scales in a few key signatures do use similar fingering strategies, making them a bit easier to master as a group, they are never the exact same. I still have to remember on which notes to bring my fingers forward to play black keys as required by the particular collection of sharps and flats characteristic of each key signature. Worse, some key signatures require rather obscure fingering strategies, starting with different fingers on the tonic and different finger crossover techniques at different points in the scale. It's all very complex and requires considerable practice to master. Ironically, if you study music theory, you discover that the relative relationship between the notes in each type of scale is exactly the same regardless of key signature. For example, all major scales follow the very same strict note relationship rule: full step, half step, full step, full step, full step, half step. You would think that over the years, inventors would have taken advantage of that strict relationship and designed musical instruments with physical note locations that follow similar rules, thus permitting the playing of scales, or any series of notes for that matter, in all key signatures using the very same fingering patterns. In other words, make the physical location of the notes on the instrument follow the very same rules as the music itself. But on the piano keyboard, that is definitely not the case. The note locations are actually designed with one particular key signature in mind, the key of C, and hence scales and melody lines in the key of C are the easiest to play on the piano. I must admit, the design also has a rather clean appearance, suggesting simplicity. Don't you agree? But don't be fooled. Try changing key signatures, which brings in various combinations of the black keys, and the simplicity ends. Consequently, piano students must spend considerable time working with books like this, which present each key signature's own unique playing patterns for scales, chords, and arpeggios. It's actually quite complex and requires a lot of work to fully master. Not all of us have the natural talent, perseverance, or even the mental agility to deal with it. But most teachers agree that regular practice of such material is necessary to achieve and maintain mastery of the piano keyboard. I still have my copy that my piano teacher made me buy several years ago when I was a student in a college-level program. But I don't use it anymore, and you'll see why soon. In my previous video, I played two different major scales, C and A, on the chromatic accordion using the very same exact fingering patterns. Whereas on the piano accordion, although the fingering strategy was similar, the patterns were not exactly the same. Some people were so surprised by this that they wanted further clarification. They asked, is this ability of the chromatic accordion to play different scales using the very same fingering pattern just a lucky coincidence with the scales C and A major? Or is it true of all key signatures? The answer is, on a 5-row chromatic accordion like this one, it is true for all key signatures, and I will now prove it by using the fingering pattern for playing the scale in the key of C major to play all 12 possible major scales, beginning with A and ending with A flat. To switch from one key signature to another, all that is required is a slight shift of starting position. I begin each scale by playing its particular tonic note using my thumb, and from that point on, all relative note positions remain exactly the same. Well, there you have it, the major scale played in all 12 key signatures using just one fingering pattern. And it's important to realize that as I played in each key signature, I did not have to mentally consider which particular notes of the scale needed to be sharp or flat. I simply played the exact same fingering pattern from different starting points on the keyboard, and magically my fingers fell on the required black keys every time. Incidentally, I need to point out that the chromatic system offers many different playing choices. So even though it is possible to use just one fingering pattern to play the major scale in all key signatures, as I've just demonstrated, most teachers and method books teach 3 different fingering patterns for playing the major scale based on which of the first 3 rows the tonic note is located. It's generally thought that proficiency in these 3 patterns gives you better mastery of the instrument. Still, the 3 fingering patterns of the chromatic are a lot easier to learn than the 12 fingering patterns of the piano accordion. And the ability of the 5-row chromatic to instantly transform any melody line to any key signature simply by moving the position of your starting point, without the need for considering which notes should be played sharp or flat, remains one of the chromatic's major advantages. Earlier I stated that on first sight, the rather clean appearance of the notes on a piano accordion suggests simplicity. In contrast, the seemingly random appearance of notes on a chromatic button accordion suggests complexity. However, in life, first appearances are often deceiving. Digging beneath the surface reveals that the ability of the chromatic to play scales and hence melody lines in different key signatures using the very same fingering patterns actually greatly simplifies the learning and playing of music. I present these differences here not to suggest that one style accordion is inherently better than the other. Your decision of which one to learn and play is based on many factors. The bottom line is, Both styles of accordion will always exist. And at Roxy's, we simply want to help you make an informed decision on which style instrument is right for you.